Well, welcome to the Post Sunday app. Thanks for joining us on this video. We're glad you're with us today. I don't know if many people are aware, but there's this little thing called a Cardinal Cub divisional series going on right now. I wore this shirt, you're a Texan, I wasn't sure you were aware of the Cardinals and the Cubs. Probably more focused on the Rangers.
Right.
Not really the Astros, more the Rangers.
Not as much, more the Astros, or more the Rangers. Although we lived in Houston for a little while, so it's kind of a Nolan Ryan fan. We moved to Arlington to follow him, or to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. But no, I suspected there was something going on, but I thought that everyone was just wearing red and blue to support the Rangers. So I thought, man, all my Cardinals and Cubs, we're talking about reconciliation. And so I thought the Texas Rangers are bringing these Cubs and Cardinals fans together, reconciling the blue and the red in one uniform. And but that's not the case. Reconciliation has not taken place yet.
Yeah, and I wore the shirt hoping that might give some good vibes for the Cardinals tonight. This is Monday that we're shooting this, so I don't know if it'll work, but I'm a little scared about tonight.
So good. What's the theology behind good vibes, Ben? I mean, do we need to edit that out?
Probably.
Okay. All right.
So there's a more important thing to talk about.
Right, good vibes.
Yeah, 2 Corinthians 5, 18 through 21 was our sermon, Missions and the Ministry of Reconciliation. So we're in the midst of our Missions Week, our focus here with the Bethany Fellowship of Churches on our Global Outreach Program. And so you took a detour from our Old Testament study to talk about this, and you'll be doing this next week, this coming Sunday as well.
Lord willing, yeah.
So the message, the big idea for the message, missions is the ministry of proclaiming the good news that one can be reconciled to God. So you started off the sermon with some comments that maybe I thought some people might ask some questions on. I don't think we got any questions, but kind of saying this is what missions is and this is what missions is not.
Right, or even there's a lot of different events or tasks or ministries in the broadest sense of the term that sometimes we call missions. So a person does something, I did that was missions, or someone does something else, that was missions. And so just think about how to use that word with more precision, or at least biblically when I describe the task of gospel proclamation, what am I doing? And just going out and doing nice things for people isn't biblically what we're talking about when we talk about sharing the gospel, the good news of Jesus.
Yeah. One question that came in then was if that is our goal in missions, to talk about reconciliation, how do we do that in a mission field that doesn't believe in God? So if your audience says there is no God, how do you get to reconciliation from there?
Right. Well, I mean, I look at the book of Acts, and we see Paul responding to different people in different ways. And so you see there are the people who are very hardened in their belief about, or in their unbelief, and so Paul really doesn't spend a lot of time with people. If people say, what you're saying is crazy, and I have no interest in thinking about this thing, the resurrection is a joke, he doesn't really seem to spend a lot of time with those people. But he'll go to a lot of different audiences, and in these different audiences he'll talk about the gospel, and there'll be people who respond in some degree. And the way he presents it is different based on where people are spiritually, or even in terms of what they know. So a Greek audience might have less understanding than a Jewish audience, and so I think that's how we approach it. If I'm approaching an audience that says, look, what you're saying about Jesus is crazy because I don't even believe in a God, well, I still want to have a relationship with them, pray with them, but there's really not a lot I can do if they're not willing to have a dialogue about that, to convince them of the truth of that. And so I still love them and continue to live my life and as a reconciled person to God.
I like what you said too, if they're not willing to have a dialogue. Because I think we can, you don't believe there's a God? Well, let me start on my 18-point reasons why, and you're going to listen to me. If the person's not, might be more damage than good. If they're not really wanting to have that dialogue.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And so, so that's the key is gauging their receptivity. And I think we've mentioned this before, but C.S. Lewis one time said that people live consistently with what they really believe to be true. And I think sometimes if a person says, well, I don't believe in God, and I believe that we're just maybe a process of these natural, or the end result of this natural process. You say, okay, well, if it's true, what do we do with concepts like love and justice and truth, and those things aren't really real then if that's true, and yet don't you kind of live in a way that's consistent with those things being true? So you kind of show how the naturalistic worldview doesn't hold consistently to how they actually live. Mm-hmm. That's one way I'd approach it, if there's willingness to have a dialogue.
Mm-hmm. Well, this idea of reconciliation, you know, when someone says, hey, Pastor Daniel's going to preach on missions,
right?
Maybe they think the book of Acts or
right.
Matthew 28, the Great Commission, but you spend this time on the central heart of the gospel. What is reconciliation? One question came in that's how does having a better understanding of reconciliation shape what I do missionally or with missions?
Yeah, so maybe not even just missionally, but just practically how I live is kind of how I think about it. Mm-hmm. I listened to an interesting podcast from, I think it was This American Life, maybe something else, but there was I'm going to butcher the story a little bit and just kind of try to truncate it, but there was a man who moved to the United States from China, and he had a son, and the son grew up only speaking English. His dad had to work long hours, and his dad only spoke Chinese, and so this father and son were unable to communicate with each other. And then when the boy turned about 14 years old, his dad wrote him a letter and had someone translate it for him. And they interviewed the boy, and the boy said, for the first time, I understood how my dad felt about me. He said, I lived 14 years thinking my dad was kind of cold and didn't have any use for me and thought I was kind of a nuisance. And he says it was like a 6-page letter, and he just cried every sentence that he read, and read it over and over and over again. And I think the same is true with our relationship with God. If we don't understand who God is and how He feels about us and how He loves us, then it's going to affect what we view about Him and how we live our lives. So, you know, maybe so I've got this God who's just angry at me all the time, and yeah, He'll save me, but He's kind of reluctant about it, and it's more like just, okay, I'm going to save you, but now you better toe the line. When instead, what we see is God communicates who He is to us through Scripture is, look, I want to be reconciled to you, not just have you justified, not just declared righteous, but reconciled and brought into relationship with me.
Yeah, yeah.
So it affects how we do missions, it affects how we live our life, everything.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Very good. Well, looking forward to hearing the second part 2, this Sunday, Lord willing.
That's right.
So, great. Well, I'm going to be very other-centered right now and say,
good.
Go Rangers.
Oh, that's very sweet. I would say go Cardinals, but I think we'd have a church split.
That's true.
How about go Cardinals and Cubs? I hope it's a tie.
Very good. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, and mission stuff. Encourage people to do some mission things this week.
Yes. So this Wednesday night there is a family meal here at Bethany Community Church.
And no Cubs Cardinal game was it, as my understanding. Maybe I'm wrong.
I don't even know. But sure, even if there was, we would come
this would
together
be more important,
at 5 o'clock for a meal here. Thursday night, there's a speaker talking about the Islamic faith and how it relates to Christian faith at Bethany Baptist Church. Saturday night, there's an event here starting at 4 o'clock, games, fun, 5 o'clock meal. Connect with our Go partners there as well. I might be missing a few things. Those are some of the big highlights from this week. So there you have it. Hope to see you at some of those events, and thanks for being with us in the Post Sunday app.